Hello guys, welcome to the next session of developing e-commerce application from scratch using Angular and Spring Boot. In the last session we discussed on how we can implement pagination on the home page in Angular. So previously we discussed like how we can implement the pagination in the Spring Boot, and similar thing we have applied on the Angular side as well. So in this what we are trying to achieve is, so if I just go to the application and if I just come to the home page, so over here what we are trying to do is we are just trying to show all the product details. So in a very first request we will fetch the 12 products and we will just show the 12 products on the screen. And if I just scroll down, then we will just we have the button that is called as a load more. So whenever we will click on this button, then it will again load the next 12 products for me. So in this way what we are trying to do is we are just trying to fetch all the product details in a batches of 12 products in each batch. So this is how we are just trying to implement it. So for these fetching the products, we have one API that is called as a, if I just go to the IntelliJ, so we have one API that is called as a /get_all_products, and in this API we have already applied the pagination. So if you haven't watched my that session, you can just check out by clicking over here. But this same API is getting called on the home page, and similar thing we have one more component for the admin. So if I currently I'm just logged in as an admin, so if I just click on the show product details, so we have one table, and again in this table to fetch the data we are just calling the same API, that is /get_all_products. So in this show product details component, like we are currently able to see the 12 products in a table. But over here if you just see, like we don't have that load more products button over here. So that particular button we just want to add in this session. So if you have watched my existing session, like whatever we have, whatever the changes we have applied on the home page, exactly same changes we have to apply it on the show product details page as well. So if you know like how to apply it on the home page, then you can just try it out by your own for the show product details component, and you can just try to compare my code with your code. So you can just try it and you can just try to take it by your own. But if you want me to show in this session, I'll just show you like how we can implement these. So again what we have to do is we have to just create one button at the end of this particular table. So let me just quickly show you how we can create that button. So if I just go to the VS Code, then we have to go to the show product details component and we have to just go to the HTML file of it. So in the HTML we have one table, as you can see, and after this table what we have to do is we have to just use one division, and inside this division we have to give one button. So you can just give a button, and I'm just going to give type is equals to button, and text will be the load more, something like this. And now let me save these changes. And again for this button I'm just going to use like mat raised button. So we are currently using the Angular material UI components in our project. So we have already used a lot of Angular material components in multiple places. So if you just want like mat raised button, so you just have to use mat dash raised button, something like this. So it will automatically create button as a mat raised button. Now if I just go back to the Chrome, let's see what is happened on the Chrome. So if you just see, like one button is added inside this, like after this table. The next thing that we want is we just want some margin from the top, we want some gap between the table and this particular button, and also we just want this button at the center, and also we just want to change color of this particular button. So to take this button at the center, we can just apply one bootstrap class. So we have to just give class is equals to text dash center. So text dash center is basically a bootstrap class. Then for the color we have to just apply color is equals to primary. So we have to just apply color is equals to primary. So again this particular primary color, then worn color, we are just referring it to the Angular material only. So if you just want, you can just go to the Angular material official site, and then you will be able to get like multiple options over there. So If I just come below, then yes, button is at the center and color is changed to the primary color, which is our in our case primary color is blue color. That is the reason we are able to see the blue color. Now we want some margin from the top, so let me just instead of margin, let me just try to apply padding. So let me just try to apply one class, that is p-5. Let's see how it looks like. So yes, now it is looking perfectly fine. The next thing that we want is we just want to add the click event on this button, so that we can just like whenever we will click on this button, we will just load more products and we can just add it to the table. So in this case, what we have to do is we have to just use click event. So click and load more products. This is the function that I'm just going to create. So let me just save this HTML file, but over here we are getting the error, which is quite obvious because this function is not we haven't created this function. That is the reason we are just getting the error. So let me copy the name, and now let me just go to the TS file, and inside the TS file what we have to do is we have to just like create this function, something like this. Now over here, if you just see, like on line number 31, yesterday we were getting the error, so that is the reason we added 0 over here, like on this get all products. So if I just go to the product service and get all products, so if I just go to this function, so we added this page number parameter in the last session itself, because our like API requires the page number as a query parameter. That is the reason we have just applied the page number as a parameter. But yesterday it was giving us the error because previously 0 was not present, and that is the reason it was giving us the error. So previously code was something like this, and to resolve the error we just added 0 for some moment. But in this session, like we don't need this 0, so we have to just remove this 0 and we want to give the actual variable value over there. So now how we can just do is we can just give one variable over here. So let me just use page number, type is equals to number, and initial value of the page number is a 0. And then over here what I'm just going to do is on line number 32, I'm just going to pass the value of my variable. So this dot page number, I'm just going to pass something like this. Now it will resolve the error and it will work as expected on the page, like it is working as expected. The next thing that we have to do is whenever we will click on this button, like load more button, then what we have to do is we have to increase the size of this particular variable, or we have to just increase the value of this particular variable by 1. So how we can do this? So we have to just use this dot page number is equals to this dot page number plus 1. We can just do it by something like this, and then the only thing that we have to do is we just have to call our get all products function. So let me just use this dot get all products, something like this. And now let me just save these changes and let's see what happens on the screen. So if I just go to the Chrome again, and if I just try to refresh the application, now we have the load more button. So now if I just show you, the very first ID is 1 and the very last ID is 45. So let me just click on the load more. Let's see what happens. So now if I just go back to the top, the very first ID is 47 and the last ID is a 69. So now what it did is it loaded the next 12 products, but our existing list, like product ID 1, that existing list got vanished, it got flushed. So over here we don't want the functionality like this. What we want is our existing data should also remain in the table, and we just want to add on in our like whatever the new data that we are fetching, we just want to add that new data in our existing list. But we don't want to flush our existing list, we want that data as well, we want our existing data as well. So why this is happening is, if I just go to the VS Code and if I just go to the get all products function, so if you just try to observe over here, On line number 37 we are getting the response, and if we are getting the response, then what we are doing is we are just directly binding this response to our product details variable, and this product details is like used on our table. So if you just see, like product details is used on a table. So what we are just doing wrong is, like whatever response that we are getting, we are just directly assigning that response to our product details, but we don't want to do this. Instead what we have to do is, so let me just first of all comment out, give the comment to this particular line. So what we want is, we just want response dot, so response is basically nothing but array of the product. So that is the reason we can use a for each on top of it. So what we can just do is, we can just use for each, and then inside this for each we have to give one arrow function. So let me just use product, then we have to use arrow, and then what I will just do is this dot product details, which is my product details array, dot push, and what I will just push is, like whatever product that I have received in the response, I will just push that product in my existing list. So in this way our existing data will remain as it is, and we are just adding the new data inside our product details list. So now let me just save these changes and let's see what happens on the Chrome. So if I just refresh it, let's see what happens. So as of now it is giving us the error. So I'm not sure why it is giving us the error. Maybe we can just check our console and let's see how it looks like, what is the error exactly. So over here we are not getting any error and we are just able to see the 12 products, but over here if I just go, so what is happening is, like for each product this dot product details dot push, and we are just trying to push the products. So now let me just go to the, okay, so now let me just do one thing. So what we are just doing is, on line number 19 we have the product details and it is the array of product. Yes, that is perfect. We are initializing it by like empty array. Yes, that is perfect. Inside the ng on init we are just calling our get all products. So inside the get all products we are just passing the page number. Initially it will be the 0. Then next thing that we are just doing is, we are just trying to use resp then for each, and then what we are just trying to do is, we are just trying to use this dot product details dot push, and we are just like pushing the product in our existing array. So everything seems perfectly fine, but I'm not sure why it is giving us the error. So what we can just do is, we can just use console dot log, or if you are comfortable you can just use a debugging as well, but I'm not sure like how many people watching this session are comfortable with the debugging. So that is the reason I'm just using the console.logs over here. So what I'm just going to log is, I'm just going to use this dot product details like this, and let me just remove this particular line, like I don't want to use console.log on a response. So let's see like what it prints basically and how it looks like. So if I just go to the VS Code, if I just go to the Chrome and if I just try to refresh it, okay, so it is still giving us the 12. So I'm not sure like because we have a lot of console.log statements. So just to make it different, I'm just adding one message over here, something like this, and let's see how it looks like now. So yes, it is loading the 12 products, but it is not be able to bind these 12 products on our table. So I think this is due to, because Angular material, like we are just using the Angular material and it is not allowing to bind these 12 products dynamically to the table. So what we can just try to do is, we can just try to resolve this particular error. So what I'm just going to do is, I'm just give one division, and whatever like code that I have in my table, something like this. So from the table, like whatever the Angular material table that I have, I'm just going to wrap it up in a one division, and I'm just going to use *ng if, and I'm just going to use one flag, that is show table, something like this. And now let me just copy this particular flag and let me just come back to the TS file, and over here what we have to just do is show table is equals to false. So initial value of the show table will be the false. The next thing that we have to do is, like whenever we will receive the response, then only we have to just make the show table is equals to true, something like this. And now let me save these changes. Let's see what happens. And yes, now if you just see, like we are able to get the like table with the data as well. So this is how we can just resolve the error. Now if I just go to the Chrome again, and if I just click on the load more button, so let's see whether it is loading it or not. Okay, so it is not loading the more products. So it is not like it is loading the more products, but it is not like it is not getting applied on the table. So what we can just do is, we can just do one thing. Whenever we will just go to the get all products, so in this, like we will just use this dot show table is equals to false. So we will just hide our table again, and then whenever we will receive the response, we will just make it like show table is equals to true again. Let's see what happens now. Now if I just come back and if I just try to click on the load more, then yes, table, like if you just observe, like table got hidden, and then it got again, like it got again visible, and now we're able to see the next 12 products as well, something like this. And yes, it is working as expected. Now if I just click on the load more products, again it will do the same thing. Like initially it will get the table will get hidden, and it will load the products, and then table will be the visible. So this is how it will work. Now the one thing that we have to just do is, whenever we will reach at the end of all the product list, like whenever, let's suppose if we have 100 products in our database, so once all the 100 products gets loaded on the like once all the 100 product gets loaded on this table, then we don't want to show this load more product button to the user, because there is nothing to load, right? Because 100 products were present in a database, and all the 100 products are now loaded on a table. So at the end, we just don't want to show that load more product. So what we can just do is, we can just use one thing, like we can just use one flag again for the button. So we can just use show load more product button, and initially it will be the false. And we can just go to the HTML, and we can just go to the division where button is present. So we can just use ngIf is equals to, and we can just copy this key, like show more product button. Initially it will be the false. The next thing that we can just do is, like we can just go in our get all products, and then we can just go to the response block. And in this case, what we will just do is, we will just use one if. So in if, like what we have to just check is, we have to just use if, and what we have to just take is response dot length. So if I just go to the response dot length is equals to 12, then and only then we just want to show the button. So we can just use show load more product button is equals to true. So if size of response is a 12, then and only then we will make our button visible. So why I'm just using 12 over here? Because in one batch we are loading the 12 products, right? So if we receive all the 12 products in a, like in one call, in 1 hour, in like one API call, then that means like we have few more products to load. So let's suppose we can just try to understand in this way. So let's suppose if you have the 24 products, right? So in the very first shot, what it will just do is, it will just try to load the 12 products. So 12 products will get loaded. Then we will click on the load more product button, because that will be the visible according to our condition. Then whenever we will click on it, it will load 12 more products. So like 24 products will get loaded in a table. Now again, that load more product button will be the visible as of now, at least according to this condition. But again, whenever someone will click on that button, then in the next response we will receive 0 products, because all 24 products were present in a database and all the 24 products are now loaded on the table. So in that response it will give us the 0, like 0 products, because all the products are already loaded. So we will get in the response we will get nothing, and that is the reason we will just make it as a false. So if the size is not 12, then we have to just make it as a this dot show load more product button is equals to false, something like this. So I think like you can just try this out. I hope like whatever I explained, it is kind of like you have to just imagine few things and then you can just apply the logic. But I hope like whenever you will just write this logic, you will get to know what I'm trying to say over there. Now let me just go back to the Chrome and let me just do the final checks. So we are able to see the 12 products on a home page. If we are clicking on the load more product button, then we are able to see the next 12 products on a home page, something like this. Right now all the products, like in my database we have the 24 products and all the products are now present on a home page. So that is the reason we don't have any more products to load. So now what I'm just expecting is whenever I will click on this button, so we don't have any more products to load, so this button should vanish. So let me just click on it, and yes, if I'm just clicking on it, now you are not able to see that button. The reason is all the products which were already present into the database, all the products we have already loaded on a table. That is the reason that button is not visible. So this is what I was just trying to explain in a moment ago. So I hope you got an idea like how we can implement the pagination on the show product details component for the admin. If you still have any questions, let me know into a comment section and I will try my best to help you out in that case. And I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll see you in the next session.